Right now, your baby is watching you, not just looking at you, actually studying you. Every expression, every reaction, every small thing you do without even thinking about it. And here's what most parents never realize. Some of the most ordinary things you do every single day, things that feel completely harmless, are sending your baby signals they can't ignore. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your baby's brain is wired in a way most parents were never told about. In the next few minutes, you're going to see 7 everyday things through your baby's eyes. You should not ignore number 5. And by the end, I promise you'll never see these moments the same way again. Before we start, I want you to understand something. This isn't about guilt. It's about awareness. Because the truth is, your baby isn't upset with you. They're not judging you. They're just trying to tell you something they don't have the words for yet. And once you understand what that is, everything changes. Number 1, looking at your phone while they're trying to reach you. Here's what's really happening in that moment. When your baby reaches toward you and your eyes are on a screen, their brain registers something called a still face response. Researchers at Harvard first documented this in the 1970s, and what they found was startling. When a caregiver's face goes emotionally blank, even for just 60 seconds, a baby's stress hormones spike almost immediately. Your baby doesn't understand what a phone is. What they understand is, your face went away, and your face is their entire emotional world. They're not asking for your time. They're asking for your eyes. But the next one? Most parents do this out of love, and have no idea it has the opposite effect. Number 2, rushing to stop them from crying immediately. Every parent's instinct is to stop the crying as fast as possible, and that instinct comes from love. But here's the surprising part. Child development researchers call this co-regulation. Your baby's nervous system literally cannot calm itself down alone. It needs to borrow your calm to find its own. When you rush in with panic, a tense body, a worried face, a voice that says, please stop, your baby's nervous system reads your stress and amplifies its own. What they need in that moment isn't speed. They need your calm presence. You are not just comforting them. You are teaching their brain how to feel safe. Number 3 is something almost every parent does at least 5 times a day. Number 3, talking about them like they're not in the room. She's been so fussy today. He didn't sleep again. She's going through a phase. We say these things right in front of them without thinking. But research in early language acquisition shows that babies begin processing emotional tone and context far earlier than most parents realize, as early as 6 months. They don't understand the words, but they understand your tone, your body language, and the energy in the room. When your baby hears a frustrated or worried tone connected to their presence, even if they can't decode the words, their nervous system registers, something is wrong with me. It's not dramatic. It's biology. What comes next might be the hardest one to hear, because it feels like the right thing to do. Number 4, forcing eye contact or interaction when they look away. Your baby looks away mid-interaction, and your instinct is to gently bring them back. Look at me. Look at mama. Here's what most parents don't realize. Looking away is not rejection. It's regulation. Developmental psychologists call it gaze aversion, a built-in mechanism babies use when their nervous system gets overstimulated and needs a break. It's actually a sign of healthy self-regulation. When you override it, even gently, you're interrupting one of the first ways your baby learns to manage their own emotional state. Let them look away. They'll come back. And when they do, that return is one of the earliest forms of trust. Number 5 is something that happens most in the moments when you're trying your hardest to be a good parent. Number 5, using a tense or high-pitched voice when you're stressed. You're exhausted. You're overwhelmed. But you're trying to hold it together. So you put on a bright, cheerful voice. Here's the thing. Your baby doesn't hear what you say. They hear what you feel. Babies are wired with mirror neurons, specialized brain cells that detect and mirror the emotional state of the people around them. They are, quite literally, emotional mirrors. A strained smile and a tight voice tell your baby's nervous system, the person keeping me alive is not okay. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest. A calm, quiet, mama's tired today is processed very differently than a forced performance of happiness. They don't need you to be happy. They need you to be real. And this next one, number 6, happens in a moment that feels like pure love. Number 6, leaving without saying goodbye. You sneak out while they're distracted. You think, if they don't see me leave, they won't be upset. But here's what actually happens inside your baby's brain. Babies are still developing object permanence, the understanding that things still exist when they can't see them. When you disappear without warning, you don't just leave the room. In their experience, you vanish from existence. And when you suddenly reappear, their brain has no framework for where you went or whether you'll go again. Research consistently shows that a simple, warm goodbye, even if it causes short-term tears, builds more long-term security than a silent disappearance. The tears when you say goodbye are not a reason to avoid it. They are the beginning of trust. And the last one, number 7, is the one that almost no one talks about. Number 7, minimizing what they feel. You're fine. It's not a big deal. Stop crying. There's nothing to be scared of. Every parent has said these words. They come from love. We want our babies to feel better fast. But what your baby hears is, what I feel is wrong. Child psychologists call this emotional invalidation, and studies show it doesn't reduce distress, it increases it. Because now your baby isn't just feeling the original emotion. They're also feeling confused about why that emotion isn't okay. The antidote isn't complicated. It's just 2 words most parents never use with babies. I see you. Not fixing, not rushing, just witnessing. Because a baby who feels seen grows up knowing their feelings are safe. And that becomes the foundation of everything. Action steps. So here's what you can do starting today. 1. When your baby reaches for you, put the phone face down. Even 60 seconds of full eye contact changes everything. 2. When they cry, slow your own breathing first. Your calm is contagious, so is your panic. 3. When you leave, say goodbye. A warm, consistent farewell builds more security than a silent exit. 4. When they look away, let them. Trust the process. 5. When they feel something, name it. You're frustrated. That was scary. 2 words can rewire a lifetime. Your baby doesn't need a perfect parent. They need a present one. Every time you put the phone down, every time you slow your breath, every time you say, I see you, instead of you're fine, you are building something invisible but permanent inside them. A sense that the world is safe. A belief that they matter. A foundation that will hold them long after they've outgrown your arms. They're not just reaching for comfort. They're reaching for you to understand their world.